Welcome to Let's Get It, the Atheist Roundtable. Toss the mic, tell us what's good tonight. Yeah, get this man a goddamn cam so we can plan to crush tonight. It's murder. It was the case they gave him. Even Jesus couldn't save him. He believes he'll slay him. Murdershed Steve got these theists on their fucking knees. Ask T Jump where the Murdershed be.
Chop it up.
Why you asking all these questions? What are you suggesting? Why am I second guessing? Then GSEB surgically removing these hypotheses. Yeah, and get out the way. Get out the way. This kid don't play. If you got a God, I'd call him. If you got a book, I'd hide him. Just Jeff. Question so hard, they'll punch you in the chest. So the best bet, invest in a bulletproof vest. Ozzy, kamikaze. Run the track back and attack what we lack. Stand back, I unpack the counter attack. And the comeback, the sad sack. They should've never said that. And faith is bullshit as a matter of fact.
Which faith is bullshit.
Man, we're going diving on a deep dive.
Which faith is bullshit.
Hey, somebody mute Oz.
Which faith is bullshit. Which faith is bullshit. What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Atheist Roundtable. I'm your host, Oz. Murdershed Steve up top with me. What's going on, man?
How's it going? Feeling much better?
Good. You look better than last time.
Yeah. Somebody or something escaped. So.
We won't ask any more questions because we are live. We'll save that for backstage discussions. So we had a pretty interesting debate here Saturday night for the TART live debate night. Did you get to catch any of that?
No.
Well, I appreciate your honesty.
I was very busy and there was a lot of cleaning to do. I just couldn't get to it.
Disinfecting and all that. Nope, I get it. For those that did get to come, number one, we had a great turnout in the comment section. Tons of great conversation, and Jonah, Joshua, Mike did a great job representing that night. It was civil, it was cool, but there were some heated moments. It was I thought overall it was done well by all parties involved. And then there's that one guy. His name's Eddie. And he did an okay job.
Eddie, right? Yeah.
Eddie?
Edarino?
Yeah, he did all right. He did all right. But that was good to have him on. And this weekend, so we have a great guest coming on tonight, and I think this show is going to be a blast. I love Justin's sense of humor, and I think you guys will too. But before we get to that, this weekend is going to be interesting. Friday night we have Biff Saunders coming to hang out with us, and Biff is self-proclaimed Christian prophet and faith healer, among several other things, but those we'll leave it at that for now. But that's going to be an interesting show.
And I pulled my back a little bit ago, hauling some trash, and my sciatic's been acting up. So hopefully we can get him to heal that right on the spot.
Yeah. Oh, I would love to witness that. And then we have a gentleman named Greg then coming on Saturday night that is also a Christian theist, and we've had him call into our call-in show before, but now he's going to be part of the on a TART live show, so he'll have the whole hour and a half dedicated to him, his belief, why he believes, and I'm looking forward to that because Greg's a great guy. I think he'd be a great guest, and that'll be fun. So, Steve, anything else that you would like to add before we bring Justin on here?
Secular shop?
Yes. secularshop.com. So if you've enjoyed some of the hats and the t-shirts and things you've seen so far, if you go to secularshop.com, that's where you could find it there. And they have anything from, like I said, shirts and hats to stickers and mugs and all of your skeptic needs when it comes to apparel and gifts and things like that. So without further ado, let's bring our guest on for the night, and let's welcome Justin on here. All right, Justin, welcome to the Atheist Roundtable. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm so happy to be here, gentlemen.
Very good. We're excited to have you, and I'm going to give a little bit of a, I guess, a teaser here, if that's what we want to call it. But there's a reason Justin is not showing his face right now, and it's actually going to make for great conversation here in a little bit. But there's a reason that you're just seeing an icon there. But Justin, you and I've been talking about this for a couple of weeks, getting you on here, having this conversation, and I've been looking forward to it. But before we get into the meat of the conversation or the dialogue, go ahead and share with everybody how we met and how all this kind of came to fruition tonight.
Well, me and my good buddy James, we started a podcast about a year ago, and Oz was one of the greatest people we ever had to speak to on that show. And we're two gentlemen who just want to talk about everything without a filter. And that's one of the more difficult things. I'm not good at self-flattery, but that's what we kind of aim to do. Just talk and just see where any kind of conversation goes. Yeah, and that's where we met Oz. I just wanted to speak with somebody completely outside of the box, and I never got to actually speak with another atheist before, which was kind of a weird thing. You meet half and halves a lot, and to actually be able to have a frank and easy conversation with somebody was really refreshing.
Yeah, and I enjoyed it well. Justin and James both. We did have a great conversation, and I always love when I can talk to people as everybody that's part of the TART community, so to speak. We love to have the serious conversations, but man, we love to have fun, and it's important to have a sense of humor and not take ourselves or each other too seriously. So that's important, and I know Steve, you would agree to that. That's one of the things that I think is endearing about our community, I guess you can call it that we are building or have built, is we still love to have fun.
Oh yeah, I mean that's what makes it easy to pop on every freaking night. You know what I mean? We come on here, we have great discussions, but at the same time, it's a fucking blast. It's a good time.
Yeah, have some fun. We're all turning into dirt one day, so let's just enjoy the progress from here to dirt as much as we can.
Well, not only that, but Justin and I were kind of talking backstage a little bit about this, but we are huge proponents of free speech, being able to speak openly, your opinions, all that kind of stuff. As long as you're not harming somebody, there's a fine line.
Yeah, right. Fire in a theater is a no-no, but I live in a country, and I was just saying to you gentlemen right before we started, you guys live in the greatest country that the earth has ever seen. You have one unique thing that no other country that's on this planet right now today, you have free speech. I live in a country with no free speech. There is a whole list of topics that me and my co-host can't even talk about. If we talk about it, we have to do editing about it. Because anything that's seen as slightly offensive is taking from a 0 to 100 in the snap of a finger. And now I'm in a legal battle for my life. So an example of that I was just saying ahead of time was, if I wanted to short form the word Muslim to Muzzy, just as cutting it down. Okay. That is considered such a taboo no-no where I come from, where now we're starting a human rights tribunal, and I am just not interested. So I prop you guys. If you're American and you're thinking about becoming Canadian, stay where you're at. The healthcare is not worth it.
He said the healthcare is not worth it.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
I got a question in regards to that. So it just so that the audience can get some clarity on that, are those government mandates? Are they okay? So it's not like YouTube is limiting you because of the area that you live in. They are straight up laws.
Yeah, so YouTube, as far as I'm aware, does not care what I put on there. You guys, I'm bound by the same kind of rules as you are. But we have federal and provincial laws that nitpick everything. There's a comedian in Montreal right now who made a joke, such a mundane joke about a disabled person, and I think his name is Mike Ward, and he's fighting for his life right now in my country, a comedian. And you guys have the greatest comedians of all time are in America. I would love to see, like, none of them could exist. Bill Burr couldn't exist in my country. Dave Chappelle couldn't exist in my country. George Carlin could never have existed in my country, because these are such massive no-nos.
I'd like to see how Anthony Jeselnik does in your country.
That's what I'm saying. It's not. It's so bizarro here. It's, you know, you grow up in Canada watching American TV, and you think it's. When I watch Judge Judy, you think it's the same thing. No. It's not. Well, she's not even a real judge. But anyways, more of the story is, you know, yeah, all of your great laws don't fucking exist here. They just don't. So yeah. Fair enough. So a topic like this, I have to not show my face because I'm afraid in my country. And this is something that nobody wants to talk about when they're talking to, like, when I see people in your own country bashing your, like, we need to censor this and censor that. Walk a mile in a regular Canadian shoes where your business is shut down because you don't want to help somebody based off of XYZ, you know? It's a bizarre world up here, and you know I'm not even that far away from you guys.
Right,
I'm like an 8-hour drive away, and I live across the ocean in Europe again.
And we can get into that here a little further in a second. But Justin, real quick, so I don't forget, Surreal to Real, like you said, you guys started about a year ago. And you guys do have great conversations on there. It's a little bit of everything, because like I told you guys when I came on, I did go do my due diligence and listen and see what was going on, and it is enjoyable. And everything, all the links for Justin and James and Surreal to Real is in the description, if you guys want to check them out. But real quick, how do they find you, Justin? How do they find you guys?
Oh, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify. I'm not sure if we're still on Google Play, but I think we are. That whole thing got kind of mutilated once it decided to destroy that app. But anyways, subscribe and find us. And we do have like an occasional YouTube video we put up. But yeah, find us on Spotify, but make sure you subscribe to us on iTunes. That's where most of our subscribers are.
Very good, very good. And they've been growing in popularity quite a bit here as of recent. So definitely go support them. And it's a podcast. It's not like what we do here, you know, where we go live and you know go and hope we do well and hope we don't say anything crazy. You know, so it is you know, a different format, but it's a great listen. So thank you for sharing that, Justin. Now we, you know, up front, we talked about there's a reason that your face isn't, you know, on the screen. You kind of delved into that a little bit, but now let's open that can for, let's get to the juicy stuff first. Why is it that you can't show your face? What are the particulars? Why is that? Why is it important for you to not reveal?
Well, if anybody uses Twitter, and you can see just when you put a simple Twitter comment, you are going to have that, and I don't mean to say this the wrong way, but the social justice warriors, they start with 1, then it's 5, and then it's 500. And these people, they do not stop. And in my country, there's been news reports about people, like, if I were to say something extremely, I'm not even a conservative, not even close to your country standards by even remotely. Not even like my Conservative Party in Canada is further left than your Democratic Party. But take that away. If I say something that's perceived as conservative, it doesn't start off with one thing. It's my employer gets involved, and then I'm blackballed. So if I worked in an office that if I said the wrong thing, my boss will not give me a positive review for my next job. He'll cut my hours, and then it snowballs like that. So that's one thing. There was a gentleman, he made an off-color comment to a female reporter one time live on air, and he was fired. He was fired publicly the next day by the hydro company, the electric company here. And you're just like, look, the comment might have not been tasteful, but that man, because he had his face exposed, was easily identifiable. Everyone made a big deal that didn't even work there and got him fired. And this guy had 10, 15 years tenure there, and he's gone. And in our country, it's, when you're living in a country full of social justice warriors everywhere, it's impossible to move one foot without having to walk over. You're always gonna bump into these people. So me and my co-hosts have tried to keep our exposure out there as limited as possible, because if we're talking about a religious subject like we are tonight, I am going to be pushing a lot of lines, even in a simple dialogue. If we're going to be talking about the Christian faith, nobody has a real problem if I say that up here. But if I switch the religion, let's say to Judaism or Islam, holy shit, it's done. We're in a no zone, right? So yeah, that's why we try to limit our exposure out there. And you'll see even comedians, even in our own country, they kind of stick to their own clubs and they don't go out because they're afraid if you go to the wrong section of this country, you're gonna get caught.
And is because I know you already shared part of this, that there, it's not just a don't do this. There are rules and regulations on the books.
Yes.
That deter you or just say you can't do this. What are some of those? And then Steve, I'd love to hear from you on that response.
Well, so one of the laws, it's very, so a lot of the laws that they write here about free speech are very ambiguous. I can't even speak. They're very ambiguous. Yeah, there we go. I'm not going to skip that word completely. They're completely left out there with no real definition. So then one day, when enough people complain about something, then that's law. And we're common law like you guys. So once that precedence is set, it's done. That poor comedian in Montreal is right now fighting for his life. He's getting money donated, I think, from the public to keep his head above water, fighting in the federal government about a joke. He made fun of a disabled person who didn't. And he's and this disabled person was supposed to die. The kid never died. He made a joke about the kid. I want my money back because I donated to this kid who never died. And now he's fighting for his life. He can go to jail. And this is not something why is nobody coming in? Why is a reasonable prosecutor not saying, look, this was a joke made by somebody whose profession is to make jokes. And even if it was distasteful, no, they have to keep going and going. And that's where my fear and my co-host fear is that, if somebody in my co-host office finds out about this show, and then one person, he's lost everything he's ever worked for, and there's not even got to be an evidence or anything. They'll just say, I think we're done here, and that was the same place where I came from.
Well, if somebody finds this show, all they have to do is ask you to pronounce ambiguous, and they'll know.
No, ambiguous, I swear. I could do it under pressure.
So I feel like in a lot of ways, we experience things like this in America, but it's not on the books. And I think that's the big difference. We experience the same kind of choking on freedom of speech, which I believe that if you have freedom of speech, that gives other people the freedom to call you a fucking asshole when you're being an asshole, right?
Yeah,
absolutely. And that's how those discussions should happen. And that's how those things should be resolved, is through discussion, instead of saying, no, we can't even talk about it.
Absolutely.
And putting laws on the books, I think, is just too far.
Yeah. It got to the point where we didn't even know until we started seeing one person or another. A lot of people know outside of Canada, Jordan Peterson, for example, that he was fighting another free speech law that came out of nowhere. It was instantaneously, and it was I think it was referring to people by their preferred pronoun, and regardless of why that law was put in place, when you're forcing people to not have conversations, that's not good for anybody. We're all living in a time where all three of us, I'm assuming, don't believe in magical tales from 2,000 years ago, right? But damn it. Failed. Yeah.
I did see a burning bush once, but besides that.
Yeah. but like for me, for an example, I'm not into that. But like growing up, I could say that. But if I was of a different, like, so the law is not even applied equally in my own country. It's one religion. I can talk as much shit as I want. I can watch Family Guy, but you literally just switch it. I can pick Zoroastrianism. Nobody practices this. And yet I would just get the same kind of, how dare you insult these people? That nobody even knows if there's anybody alive who practices that. So yeah, I don't even know. It's weird times.
Well, and that's one of those things that, I mean, we talk about this all the time. You can't get mad at somebody for insulting, belittling, making a joke of a belief. You can't have a problem with somebody talking about beliefs. When you start insulting somebody as a person, or when you start, making it personal, then it's kind of like, well, fuck you, bud. But at the end of the day, you can't really get that mad at somebody just challenging your beliefs, because if they're true, they shouldn't have anything to fear.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, I'm fat, and if somebody called me fat, I have to accept it. I'm gonna get angry? No, I'm fat. I didn't put any effort to go to the gym. I didn't even bother. I was supposed to do 10 push-ups today. Skipped it. No point. No one's going to look at me. But that was my own choice, right? And if somebody calls me fat, I have two options. I can cry about it or do those push-ups, right? But like one day, or
just accept yourself for who you are, whatever that may be.
I will never accept myself. The second you accept yourself for who you are, just give up, because you're not pushing yourself forward in anything.
That's fair.
But
Justin, I don't call myself fat. I call myself invested.
Yeah,
I've invested a lot of money and a lot of resources into looking like this.
Hey, and what do they say? You're not losing hair.
You're getting head.
getting more head.
I like you guys. My hair's been gone for a long time. You just wear the hat for as long as you can. You just keep pushing the conversation off. No, man, you're still good. It's when you have to do the comb over, and then you're done. You're done. Once you have to do the comb over, just give up. But
sorry, we broke up your flow there. Go ahead, Justin.
But one thing I was just thinking is, like, even when we're just talking about this, something about me being fat. I know for a fact that one day, 10 years from now, my country's going to make it illegal for me to call someone fat because I'm body shaming them. And you guys will think that this is absolutely crazy. It's impossible. How would you do? It will happen. It will happen. It will be passed with nobody knowing. And then one day, someone will get fined because they said, you know what? You need to put down the donuts. You're a little bit heavy. And that will happen. And I'll be the first person to sue someone on those grounds.
And Justin, what's the process look like where you're at, as far as how it's built to this point? Has it been a slow drip? Has it been a kind of there was kind of a funnel, and suddenly the funnel couldn't, a dam, and the dam couldn't handle the pressure anymore, and it just kind of broke? Like, how did you arrive, or the area you're in? How did they arrive to where they're at now?
I think our countries have so much in parallel, except that you guys have a wonderful counterbalance. Like my whole country, imagine your country, but now remove every single Republican never existed. Never. Nobody wants the past. So now you're all sitting with the left, and you have a moderate Democrat all the way to the furthest extreme. Now, that's my entire population, and every single university graduate in my country gets every government job. If you don't have a university degree, you don't get into my government. And now you can imagine, it's almost like overnight, one by one, everything kind of flipped in our country. Like, they've changed the free speech laws, I feel, more in the last 15 years than they have since whenever the hell we were created, like 1887 or something. I don't know. I have no clue. I don't care about when we started. I know you guys started in 1776, amazing country. I don't care when we started. We were, whenever we told the British, we're done with this shit. I can't do this anymore, guys.
Well, and I will say, Justin, for our channel, we kind of talked, well, you and Steve talked about it. And we talked about it a little bit collectively. That as far as the atheist roundtable is concerned, yes, we do value the separation between church and state, and we're always going to speak to that or up, up against it, and combat that. But we're also going to be as loud and vocal as we can when it comes to our freedom of speech. And to be able to say what we want to say and communicate what we want. And as Steve alluded to earlier, the only thing that is not included there is when we begin to hurt people. We start to cause harm to human beings and things like that. And, are there some things that some people are just a little overly sensitive? Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. But guess what? That's a you problem, not a me problem. So you need to look, you need to look in the mirror. But the reason I say all that is I do when I talk to folks that live in an area that they don't get to experience the freedoms that we do when it comes to how we can communicate and vocalize our opinions or convictions or whatever. Just listening to them, I'm like, man, that has to suck. That has to suck to not be able to do that. So Justin, I hate that for you and for James, because you guys have a ton of really good shit to say. And it sounds like there's a lot of stuff that just gets bottled because of where you're at.
Yeah. Bless James's soul. I mean that as a joke because we're here, but he actually has to put in a lot of effort to edit down every episode we've done. You'll find entire sections we had to cut out because it's like, oh, did we just offend somebody? And it blows my mind. Like you guys also live again in a country that is supposed to, and sometimes it blurs the line, a separation of church and state. There is zero separation in my country. We are a Catholic nation, a European Catholic nation sitting on your continent, just above you. We have Catholic schools funded by public money. So you can go, you have a choice. If you were baptized, you go to a Catholic school. If you weren't, you can go to the public school. And guess what? You'll find all kinds of people in between who aren't even remotely Catholic who will go through the process of baptizing their kid to get them the better school. Because the Catholic schools traditionally in our country are the way better funded ones. I've
heard Shannon Q talking about this, and they're better funded because they get the private and public funding.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's kind of a messed up little deal going on with the Catholic Church in that regard.
Especially when you're in the inner cities. It's night and day. I was at a Catholic school that my mom was a teacher at, and they had for elementary school, 400 to 500 different instruments. So for your education in a Catholic school here, you get to play. You want to learn a saxophone when you're in grade 1, you're going to learn and master that instrument from 1 through 8, because every week you take half an hour to practice with your instrument. You take it home. That doesn't seem like a big deal. I don't know if you guys were exposed to that growing up. A whole room full of thousands and thousands of dollars of musical equipment that you were supposed to take home, like a tuba, and learn it for 8 years. You don't get that in the public school system here. Not even close. We had microscopes in our classes. So when we had to do biology, here's 500 microscopes.
I got a plastic recorder.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had to buy all of our own instruments, no matter what we played. Even the recorder, I'm pretty sure we had to buy that shit too.
Yeah. And in ours, it was there you go. There you go. You want a xylophone? Oh, it's only $2,000. You can take it home for the weekend. Take it home.
For the weekend.
Yeah, and then
try not to shit on it.
Yeah, there you go. Oh yeah, here's a $5,000 saxophone. Have fun, kid. Yeah, and where'd that money come from?
And Justin, I think you just created a great segue here for talking about kind of how you grew up, and you grew up in Catholicism, and as Steve so eloquently said backstage, there's no such thing as an ex-Catholic. There's only recovering Catholics. But if you would take a few minutes, tell us about your where you were, how you grew up as a kid or whatever in church, and Catholicism, and kind of your pathway to current time and your current destination.
Well, So I'm a child of two different immigrants. One's a family from Malta, which is only exporting Catholic priests. That's their only export on that stupid island. And then and then the other half is Italian, so mountain goat Italian. When both of them came here, I was dumped into a Catholic church right off the bat. So my education was kind of, again, I grew up thinking everyone was a Catholic because you go to a Catholic school, all your friends are Catholic. You don't even know there's other religions. I remember when I met my first Jewish friend, that was I'm like, what do you mean you don't have Christmas? My head exploded because everywhere in our city, the whole city's lit up. And again, like, you're a kid in your neighborhood, 2 out of every 3 of the kids there are actually going to a Catholic school. So you get completely disconnected from the world, right? So yeah, my upbringing was kind of weird. I didn't get most of it right off the bat. Like, a lot of that was just absolute rubbish. Like, even as a young kid, you're like, okay, let's just get through this. I don't want to be here, But like, I had an old school Italian father, so it's like, you don't go, you're gonna get smacked. You learn the words of Jesus while I disregard all of them simultaneously, right? Yeah, so that was my background. I ended up going through the whole kit and caboodle with that. And, and the whole experience was just almost traumatizing. You had to do religion once, I think, a day for half an hour. And it was just like, okay, let's hurry this up. The only thing I was saying this to Oz was, the neatest part was, we're going to a Catholic school, though. You don't know how many times you can use Jesus for the answer to your question. Who built your Spanish Armada? Under the devisement of Jesus. And that's what I got half marks. You could get through anything. Oh, why is this not clean? Because it doesn't have the divinity. It doesn't make any sense. But what are you going to do? You're going to send me to the principal's office? And then I'll just pull up the Bible and no one knows what it says. And I'll get points again.
2 plus 2. 2 plus 2. Jesus.
No, you just highlight the cross in the middle and you put and you just highlight it. Yeah, it was a joke. It was a joke. I would half my questions, one of my best buddies of all time, he would just break out laughing because I would just say, in history class, Jesus did it. Jesus did it. And it would be like, why did the Germans invade Poland? Jesus did it. And everyone look at me like I'm stupid. But the teacher did not have the balls to say you're wrong. It was fantastic. It was fantastic. Until the best part about it is, eventually you'll get an atheist teacher that's pretending to be a Catholic. And then what they'll do is they'll push them, I kid you not, to being the religious teacher. I had my grade 12 religious teacher was an atheist, tried to unconvert us at the end. At the end, he's like, for the love of God, people, does this seem real? And everyone just sat there confused. Like, we all knew it was make-believe. You can't make it when you're like 13, 14 years old and you're like still clinging on to it when you have the internet and unlimited pornography. These are not compatible. Jesus didn't want me to see this, but he threw it in my face every 10 seconds.
But you're forgetting about the devil double down. The devil double down is anything that takes you around or takes you away from Christianity was the devil.
Oh, that
tricking
son
you.
of a bitch.
You forgot about the devil double down.
Yeah, that good old devil. I don't even know
the
what
one
the hell
that all that
That
porn
good old
right
guy.
in your lap. Yeah. All that naked lady giver machine gave you came from the devil.
Yeah, goddamn, I got tricked, man. I don't even know where I stand on things now.
I know. I just wanted to make you question your atheist beliefs.
It's so silly. It's so silly. And, I remember everybody. There was a handful of people who were still hardcore Catholic by the end of that. But there's no way I can even imagine anybody going through school today in 2020 in a Catholic school in Canada really buys all of that, by the time you make it to grade 12. I think it was, you could have pulled it off in 1983, but not anymore, guys. Like, it's silly.
So Justin, I and we are having fun, and it is fun when we look back and reminisce about it. But what was the, I guess, what was the catalyst, or what was kind of the breaking point for you when you're like, you know what, I'm not convinced, and this just isn't real.
So to me, it was an avalanche. So it actually, I know this is going to sound so ridiculous, but it actually started with 9/11. Because when that happened, I didn't even know what the United States really was. So then you have to Google, what is the United States? Like, because you can see it on the globe, but you guys have 330 million? How many people live in Canada? 30. And then you realize Toronto, where I come from, is not the end of the world. So then you start, okay, I got to learn history now. Because I'm clearly so uneducated. And it was learning basic history to know that my ancestors in Italy believed in the planets as being gods, something they could see with their own eyes, as opposed to something that's a stick in the T form on the altar. Like, these are such drastically different viewings of the universe. You can physically see an orange ball at night, Mars, a yellowish one, Venus, and what seems more plausible, that these planets that come in and out of alignment, that you can see them once in a while, those are real, or Jesus? So I sat there and I'm like, okay, I gotta read more. And then you start really, like, Galileo, we're all taught that the earth is round. We're starting to learn all these basic things, and then he's murdered by that church that I'm actually a part of. And you're like, and then he has that quote, and I'm sure it may not even be him anymore, but why would God endow me with a mind and prevent me from using it? And it was that phrase that really stuck in my craw. And as you keep going further and further, I was just confirmed under a nightmare, because nobody wants to get confirmed. You have to do all this weird shit. You got to talk to the priest 12 times a week and all this stupid stuff. Like, I'm your friend, but I've never met you, all this nonsense. And it ended up getting to the point where it was that discovery of history, and to know that if I just rolled the clock back far enough, no one believed what I believed, not even remotely. And that they actually had better instruments to explain the world than this mythos. That's where everything fell apart. I couldn't take anything anybody said seriously when they, and especially you got, again, watching across the border during your George Bush days, those Christian activists were really out there, and it really made an easy argument. Like, am I with these people, or can I just stop and actually look at the world for what it is? And it was really is my love of history that still continues to today, where I want to learn every nook and cranny. Like, that's more important to me than prescribing to magic. And that's really what it is. It's a bunch of tales that are taken all over the place, shoved into a bunch of books. And to me, it was just like, okay, take what you can out of it, but just, you got to stop. You have to abandon this. I would much rather learn about, Greek mythology, because the stories are cooler. Like, you have centaurs and stuff. These stories are cool. I'd rather learn about this than, okay, I get it. This guy's poor. Okay, yeah, he sucks. He's homeless. He has to wash people's feet. Okay, I get it. Like, I'm trying to be humble here. But, like, God, man, a centaur and a minotaur is awesome.
Hey, the Bible's got a talking donkey and a unicorn here and there.
Yeah, I'll put it to you this way, though. I went through all of my entire education through the Catholic school system, never read the Bible. Never once would we ever, and I think they did it on purpose, because there's no way they ever let you, let's just read Genesis today, children. No one would sleep. No one would ever sleep again. This guy, what the hell? It's
pretty common for Catholics not to read the Bible.
Oh, yeah, they stay away from it. Most of the masses I had to go to were in Italian, too. Why would you want me to learn it? Why don't you just speak it into a foreign tongue that's just meaningless to me? So, yeah, I did Italian mass for the first half. And then my mom got fed up because she wanted to be a believer. Oh, God forbid, she's not even close to a believer today. But she wanted to be a believer, so we had to go to English mass. And then it's like, once you start hearing that, you're like, oh, my God, what are we here for? Okay, you're going to rub water on my head. Okay, let's do it.
Rub water on my head.
Yeah, I got to rub water on my head and my lips and my heart that everyone else has dunked their hands in. Guess what? It's not COVID compatible no more. You can't go in there and do the 3 signs. And then you got to sit down there and you're waiting for a piece of bread. I can't even have a sandwich while I'm doing this thing. Like I'm not even eating. I got to wake up early. Got to get dressed for bullshit. Yeah.
All you get is a wafer. You don't get a sandwich. You just get a wafer.
Yeah, it's a wafer. I don't even get jam or anything. It's
a little grape juice instead of jam.
Oh yeah, well, I had a priest that they had to cut. They actually had to make it grape juice because they traditionally still, I think, they use wine. But this guy was getting smashed, like he was drinking like the full cup. And his name was Father Bob, but he's a long time gone. But this Father Bob, I tell you, it was the funniest thing ever because he was getting, like, he must have drank a glass before the sermon because he was slurring the words by the end, and they ended up having to get rid of him. Like the parents started complaining, like, my kids are getting confirmed by this drunken fool, and it was pretty good.
Sounds a lot like the Atheist Roundtable. So would you, Justin, consider yourself an anti-theist or like a Gnostic atheist or an agnostic atheist? I'm kind of wondering where you fit.
I'm the realest person you're ever going to meet. So I'll explain to you what I believe, and you tell me where I fit. How about that?
Sure.
I believe that when Justin dies, I'm going to turn into a pile of crap. I'm just going to turn into dirt. If you wood chipper me, it gets me there faster than just burying me. And then that's sayonara. That's it. You don't have nothing on me for part 2 of this adventure. No evidence. And I don't want to believe in your evidence either. And I'm not even open-minded to your evidence. You have to physically show me something. Like I spoke with a ghost hunter, and my only questions were, how opaque are these things? Can you touch them? Can they grab things? Because I want to look at this from a scientific point of view. Okay. Sure. And when the answers were semi-inconsistent, or like, sometimes they're fully opaque and sometimes they're invisible, I'm done. That's not evidence. That's nonsense. So I believe there's nothing other than my father ejaculated into my mom's vagina. This sperm hit the egg. I multiplied a bunch of times. I'm living this miserable existence. I have to make money to survive, to eat food, to poop, to sleep, then to die. And the best thing I could do in my lifetime is put my semen into another woman's vagina. She gives birth to a kid. That kid comes out okay, best case scenario. And then I turn to dirt and it turns to dirt. That's it. So what do I fit in?
Would you, let's say somebody did give you the proper evidence and you were shown 100% for sure confirmed that a God exists. Would you then believe that a God exists? Or are you open to that being a possibility?
Okay, I'll put it to you this way. The word God is really loose in that one because God can do many things, right? Like if it's aliens, overlords, fine. But like a mystical see-through thing, like,
or even like a God that created the universe and then died or something,
what? I'm not to even be argumentative. I would say no. I'm at this point. It's like, even if that was the case, what does it matter? I'm turning to dirt.
So you're pretty much a Gnostic atheist at that point. Like you know for sure that there's no God, basically.
Yeah. I'm someone who's proud enough to be ignorant to hold that position too.
Sure.
Because it's like, to me,
either that or I was going to say you're an agnostic atheist, but kind of an asshole. That's about it.
Nah, I'd rather just dig my feet in. There's nothing you can do to prove this nonsense. It really wouldn't. Like me personally, I don't think we're, as human species, the only living thing in this universe, right? Not possible. Now, if you want to call one of these things God, we're just mixing the terms. But like a biblical, that's not real. I don't want to hear this Obi-Wan Kenobi gibberish. Like this is just nonsense. Like end the conversation to me. Like it's a no-go. It's a no-go.
And Justin, I just really wish you would have came on tonight and just really shared your heart and been a little more honest with everybody. Because I can see straight through the bullshit, man. I can see. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, in this country, on this show, you have freedom of speech, so I don't know why you're holding back.
You can tell he enjoys having the freedom of speech.
See, the whole deal is I'm fine because I'm making fun of the standard God, right? The second I go to the off brands, oh shit, things are going down. Like in that, and that's actually I've never. Okay, I lose my temper. Clearly, you can hear me again. But I remember the first time I full on wanted to put my hand through the wall is when that law was put through. I can no longer. So when a Jehovah's Witness assaults me on the bus, trying to convert me freelance on the bus, I can't tell them they're demented. Get out of my face. You believe in nonsense. Because if this person complains, now this is an off-brand. You know, and this is a funny story. I dated a woman whose mother was a Jehovah's Witness and the dad was a Catholic. Both of them trying to convert me back to the faith every dinner. Preposterous. One wants me to become a door-to-door saleswoman with her, and the other one's like, come to church with me this Sunday while my wife goes out and hands out leaflets. Please, just get divorced. Stop wasting your daughter's time.
So, James, Justin's podcast partner here, just put this in the comments. I get to do these conversations with Justin twice a week. Lucky guy. No kidding. No, it's great. I actually love hearing the passion and enthusiasm, and you can tell when you're talking to somebody if there's certain times or places that they don't get to fully be themselves, and they don't get to fully let all that out, you know, because even here in America, we don't have the laws or the regulations, from a government, but we do have, like, whether you want to call them social implications or social laws. When we come out, when we leave religion and come out as atheists, there's more of the social backlash or penalties that you receive, and you kind of start out where it's like, ooh, maybe I shouldn't say this, and maybe this shit's too taboo, and maybe I shouldn't talk about this. When all of a sudden you're like, oh, I can actually say these things, and then it's like a goddamn machine gun. It's like, and you're just moaning, and you forget that sometimes that maybe you're unintentionally, causing somebody to. I don't care. We can cause people to become uncomfortable all day. If you're getting uncomfortable, that's fine. But sometimes we'll unintentionally maybe hurt somebody. Then you have to reconsider your format or your delivery method. But I can relate to that, where it's like when you realize that, oh, I can actually express myself and use my personality and not live in this box. It's very easy to just go, which I love hearing and seeing. So.
Well, no, it's nice to actually, sometimes be able to step out of that, because, that's one thing that I found is really weird about the world that we live in now. It is so different than 20 years ago. When people hide, like I'm doing it right now. I'm hiding my identity on the internet, but like it's disgusting. Like I had to do that to start promoting. Oh my man, what? Nobody actually has anything. Like when you're hiding, I noticed that the big difference between a YouTube comment and a Twitter comment, because if you're doing it on YouTube, guess what? Your name is there, and even if you don't want to hide your name, you can find out who this person is. Oh, where did they go to eat dinner? Haha, I found you. Right? It's really that easy. You could look at one review or any of the data that Google collected on you the entire time. Like I had a review of did you like this washroom? 5 stars. What? Like you're recording me? Like you measured the time I stopped in a washroom. Thank you, Google. But it's bizarro. It's bizarro.
Yep, and real quick, Justin, we do have a super chat here from Eddie Krum de la Crum, $5. Murdershed in the house. First show I've seen with him. Was thinking he was a conspiracy. He may still be a conspiracy. You just don't know.
Yeah, the Murdershed's kind of like international waters. So if you think you have freedom of speech in America, come to the Murdershed.
I guess one wrong word and you've been in the right place. Murdershed.
Yeah. Yep. And if you've not experienced the Murdershed yet here at TART, you'll get to experience it tonight. But T-Jump can tell you all about the old shed. All about the old shed.
I had that black eye once.
Oh, I forgot about the black eye.
After T-Jump experienced the Murdershed.
Yeah, he hit you in the face with that guitar.
He's extremely skillful at surviving for some reason.
He's still here.
Yeah.
Maybe he is a Christian.
Well, a Christian in disguise. In the cloak of logic and reason.
Yeah. But Justin, you brought it up there, and each time I'm getting ready to bring up something that you and I have already talked about from being on your show, you do it for me. So thank you. You're making my job very easy tonight. But one of the things that stuck with me, because it's actually something I said all the time, even just casual conversation with people about, when they ask, well, if there's no God, then what happens to us when we die? Well, the same fucking thing that happened to us before we were born. We're dirt. We're nothing. We're absolutely nothing. So I love that you brought it up, because I was going to ask you about that, because that's a conversation I hear from theists a lot. Is, well, don't you think we go somewhere after we die? No, I don't have a reason to believe that we go anywhere else. So what was it? What was it that kind of created that that saying for you, or what brought that up? Because I hear you say that a lot now when you talk.
I say this a lot. I'm not a negative person. I am just real. And it all just came like, I'm a big admirer of Augustus Caesar. Okay. One of the greatest human beings of all time. We live in a society that he pretty much modeled out 2,000 years ago. Fire departments, police departments, civil responsibilities. That guy's not in heaven. Where is he? Oh, because he didn't believe in nonsense. So if he's not included in the club, I don't want to be part of this club, because most of the people in that club are from when? 700 upwards? If you want to include the couple of stragglers between that time. I don't care. You people are demented. I'd rather not be in your club. You guys can sit there with a bunch of old men who disregarded the Bible and did worse atrocities than anybody who came before it. Give me a break. So if that's kind of where I just went, it's just like most of my favorite historical Alexander the Great. He did some whack things. He should be in hell, right? He's a glorified hero, but technically, he did some pretty horrible things, However, he's not even in that hell because he's not cool enough to be included. So to me, it was just like, look, if my favorite people aren't even up there, what am I clinging to? Get rid of this. Yeah, and there's just one thing. It's just that love of history had stripped everything. Like, St. Augustine, when you start getting into that, you're like, oh, even this guy didn't believe this shit. So what are we going on? So yeah, it was just that it was sort of like an acid being dumped on some metal. Like it just eroded it down to what is metal? It's electrons and protons. End of story. Metal is what you make it, And for me, there's something more thrilling about the fact that I am part of. I don't want my consciousness to go on. Like I barely like this life. Let alone I want to live like I got laid off because of COVID, and I got to do everything I ever wanted to do. If I wanted to smoke drugs all day, I could do it. If I wanted to drink liquor all day, I can do it. If I wanted to sit down and do nothing, I could do anything I wanted. It was the worst time of my life because I couldn't do anything that made any consequences. So why would at all anybody ever find any joy in a consequence-free environment? It's the challenges of every day. When you wake up and you go to work and do your 8 hours and come home, yeah, that might have sucked. But you did something that that lazy bum down the street won't do. You know that you did something that the lazy people in your society don't care to do. You did it. You did your job for the day. And I take joy in the fact that, even the bad things are experiences. There's nothing for me in an afterlife of any kind. I don't want to get laid all day. It gets boring. I've got laid by 99 people today, 450. It doesn't matter.
You're talking to the CEO of Pound Town right now, just so you know.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. And no, I'm not interested in getting laid by 499 different people. But I am interested in 499 times in one day.
It's a challenge. How many times can I do this? It's like how many? More than one an hour. Clearly, that's like one a minute. That's a challenge. I'm down for that.
I'm always up for a good challenge. And then I had a question. And the Pound Town thing completely threw me off. Now I'm completely distracted. Thank you guys for that. But I remember.
You're welcome.
So James, your partner. Yeah, when I was on with you guys, I found out. Well, actually, he shares this with our head mod that he believes in ghosts.
Yes.
Interesting. So in the comment section, Grumpy Old Cuss, meet Surreal to Real. That's James. You guys can talk about ghosts while we chat about fantasy stuff.
and this is what I'll say about ghosts. It's again, I went in there open minded. Okay, maybe this is real. Please tell me some more. And I didn't even go like a lot of people listen to that podcast with the ghost hunter thought I was being a dick, and I really wasn't. I was just being like, look, give me the WhatsApp. Like, tell me, are they opaque? Can they move objects? Are they like Jedi? Like I use sci-fi as almost every reference in my life now. So like, what is it like? You know, and you know, there's nothing conclusive there. Like, why would they be wearing their shitty Civil War uniform? Like, if I die, wouldn't I want to get changed? Or you don't have a choice. This was a question I asked him. Can you get changed if you're a ghost, or you have to die with like the shit? Like, what if you shit your pants right before you die? You have to be a ghost with soiled uniform for the rest of your life. Sorry.
A stinky one.
Yeah.
That sounds shitty. Real shitty. That sounded shitty. No, it's funny because we have fun with Grumps. He's our head mod here in our YouTube, well, in the Discord. But that's one of the things that we kind of tease him about. I think he sees chalk that moves or replaces itself or something like that. But what I like to do here before I know I believe K-Neb's getting ready to jump on. You guys can chat for a minute, and we'll wrap up with Q&A. So everybody in the comment section, if you have a question for Justin, whether it's about our conversation now or even if it has to do with their podcast, which we'll plug again here in a second, go ahead and start putting those in the chat area. And remember, if you want it to stay there and it not disappear as the chat moves along, if you do hit the super chat that is activated, that will make sure we get to your questions. But what would you, again, you said it up top, we've had a few people jump in since then. Justin, for you and James, what would you want people to know about the Surreal to Real podcast? What's important to you guys? Why do you do it? Why are you so passionate about it?
You know, at the end of the day, me and him were just good buddies, and we used to work in an environment where we would have hundreds of people come in and just to interact with us. And then after we left that environment, you do feel like something's a little bit missing in life. And, there's something fun about just look at the world and just have a genuine conversation about it. I find that a lot of things are so overly produced now, where it's just like, that's why the podcasting world is on fire. It's completely decimating and destroying what you would consider traditional media. Like, I only watch one TV show now and maybe 3 or 4 in the last 10 years, honestly. I have no interest of watching TV, movies, any of that nonsense, because I'd much rather listen to this, a real conversation with human beings expressing something real. And me and James, all we do is we just like to go off on everything. So like on the Wednesdays, we will just go through everything that came out that we thought was interesting for the week. Like we have this thing where we are now both convinced aliens are real. Like when we started off with zero belief in this, and we're like, nah, let's take a look at this video this week, and we'll keep going on it, and that's what makes what me and him do a lot of fun. And then we get to speak to people like you, Oz, and it's so nice to get, okay, now we'll just put that aside and let me talk to someone who I would consider an expert. Like, you speak with a lot of people, and you've probably seen most of the arguments come your way in every direction, right? So I consider you an expert. I don't need you to go to a university to get a fancy piece of paper where you're just regurgitating stuff you found in a book. No one likes it. It's not interesting. And I think there's a huge gap in our society where there is a bunch of people who think they're smarter than everybody else, who don't bother to listen to podcasts because they're already, I don't need to listen to that. I'm smarter than. No, the most human beings who have to work a 9 to 5 are curious and just want to listen to things that aren't prescripted. And I think that's the real deal. And I think me and James try to do that every single time we're on air. Just be real. Yeah,
and agreed. And we do our very best to do the same thing here. And obviously, we, you guys talk about a bigger variety of topics, but I think the one thing that remains the same is being genuine, being authentic in those conversations, and when you're having those. And you know what, some people are going to love them. Other people, it's not going to be their cup of tea. But guess what? You don't have to listen, and you don't have to watch. You didn't have to click the button, and you don't have to keep coming back. So it's not, what you do and what we do isn't for everybody, but there's plenty of people that I know, that we get to either help them by giving them a good laugh. Maybe they needed a laugh that day, or, impact in other ways. So if we're doing that and we're being authentic while we do it, and we're passionate about it, why not? Yeah.
And the one thing I'll give us as a pro is, because we're Canadian, after every time me and James offend you, we apologize. So, oh yeah, you with your magical beliefs. I'm sorry about that.
Sorry about that. Sorry.
sorry. But that's, and that's what makes it fun too, because where we're from, you just don't talk about certain subjects, and it's nice just to, okay, let's just do it. Let's go make fun about how bad this looks today.
Yeah, it's, but it is good to be able to find people, whether they're close to home, or you guys being in Canada. We just had a gentleman on a week or two ago from South Africa. We have one of our good friends that comes on from Australia. The one thing that's really cool is you get to meet some really awesome, kick-ass people, too, when you're doing this. And if there's one of the things I think is a great benefit, is being able to meet people that I never would have been able to meet if it hadn't been diving into this and doing the YouTube /podcast thing. That's been invaluable.
Absolutely. And it's the same kind of thing on our own end. Like we've gotten to talk to about, dozens of people, and it's just so interesting. Like when I speak to someone from Missouri and I get to listen to a completely different accent, it's like, no way, you guys are on the same continent as me. And then when you go across the pond and you got to speak to someone from the mother country, it's just a very interesting feel too. Even though you have to kind of catch up with their accents, especially if they're Welsh. God help us. But,
yeah.
But that's what makes the world that we live in is so much better. And I think there's a huge segment of our society that's starting to catch on slowly by slowly, And yeah, and again, just being able to speak with you, someone I could consider an expert in this. And we had a blast. And I'm an expert in nothing, but I'm going to do my best to just give you the best, my most genuine opinion possible.
No, it's both ways. Having the absolute awesome opportunity and time being on your show, to you being on here now, and it continues to be informative and fun, and kind of push the envelope, on some of the conversations. But one last time, I just want to tell everybody we are getting ready to go into Q&A with the murderous one. So if you have any questions for Justin, myself, Steve, I think K-Nebs will be here shortly. Go ahead and start asking them, and we'll even do a little what is the Ask Me Anything, the AMA. You can whatever floats your, whatever F's your B, you can ask that. But one last time before we go into Q&A, Justin, how did they find you and James, the Surreal to Real podcast? Where y'all be at?
So you can find us on Twitter at Surreal to Real. We're on iTunes. Again, I have no clue what the Google Play, because that thing is, thank you, Google, for ruining that. But and we're also on Spotify. Those are generally the best ways to catch us. Yeah, and we also have a Patreon that we've set up too, and that's Surreal to Real. So yeah, check us out. And anytime you guys want to criticize us, I am so down. I love criticism.
Yeah, as you should. Like you said earlier, if you want to get better, you better be ready for the criticism. So
yeah, I'll cry a bit. I'll cry a little bit, but I won't show it.
and then they'll say sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean to say that.
And all of their links are in the description, guys, if you guys want to go check out their podcast. But finally, after being infected with the COVID, the murderous one is back.
Well, hello, everybody. So I wanted to share a real, actual joke that my actual father told me that led me to serial killer tendencies. A police officer came to my door a few weeks ago and asked me where I was between 5 and 6. He got really irritated when I answered kindergarten.
Looking for a new and challenging opportunity? Do you have previous landscaping, mortuary, or medical experience? Are you available to work flexible hours, including nights and weekends? Are you ready to get involved in a business where you can simply make a killing? If you answered yes to these questions, then the Murdershed Steve Intern Program wants to hear from you. Registration for the 2021 season is now underway. Contact us today for an information package to get you started. Many valuable perks are available for those willing to reach out and grab them. Qualified participants must agree to have street epistemology applied to anything they say.
Now, after telling me that joke, the first time I heard it, I went out and I drowned a pigeon. How's it going, everybody?
Steve, it's good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too again, Oz. It's been too long.
It's been way too long.
That COVID is a motherfucker. Don't get it.
It's good to see you back in the shed, looking all sheddy.
Yeah, looking all murderous, right?
Yes.
Well, I do happen to have some questions.
Well, let's get it started.
Alrighty then. GeoSam would like to know, what do you think about people that claim to live in their own reality? Example, but it's real for me.
Go ahead, Justin.
That's your own business, and everyone should mind their own business. And then this is my own deal. If you want to believe in magic, keep that in your head. Apply it how you want. When you break the law because you kill someone to sacrifice them for the Lord Moloch, then that's fine. Go to jail. I don't care. Like that's as far as I go. And that applies your own personal truth. Keep it yourself. I don't want to know it. You want us to talk about facts? We'll talk about facts. Your magic, off limits. And that can be broadly applied to everything. Everything. I don't want to know what you do with your genitals. That's your business. None of my business.
Yeah, and what's real to a person may be real to you doesn't make it true. So it may seem real to you, doesn't make it by any stretch of the imagination make it truth. So that's a personal argument, and if you're okay with that, then I agree with Justin. Just keep that shit to yourself.
Fair enough.
Yeah, if you're Buddhist and you just want to stay Buddhist, don't tell me how to be Buddhist. Just do it. Be happy and get out of my way. That's it.
And you know, I think it's important not to legislate or let those beliefs influence the way that you think society should live.
Honestly, I couldn't agree with that statement more.
That's all I got to say about that. Is you can believe whatever the hell you want, but once you start legislating against people's freedoms because of those beliefs, fuck off.
Yeah.
So here's one from Eddie, and I really love this question, and I'm really glad that he asked it. What is your position on the historical Jesus and his teachings, not necessarily the church?
Me personally, Jesus is a Jewish hippie. That's it. End of story. He just is like, yo, something's wrong here. Are we really following the Torah properly? Let's take 10 seconds. Nah, flips the table in a temple. You shouldn't be selling food. That's, nothing more than that. And he's just a freedom fighter, like a rebel, whatever you want to call him. He's running around. He's fighting the Roman Empire. Slavery's bad. All of this nonsense. The Roman Empire collapses. And then about 100 or 1,000 years after that, they just replicate the same experiment and start enslaving people again. Oh, surprise, surprise. Let's ignore everything that the freedom fighter fought for and then go down the other path.
In his name.
In his name, which is, to me, the most preposterous thing. If the Catholic Church would have just said in 1557, you shouldn't be enslaving people, it's kind of against the book. Imagine how different everything would ever have been. That's exactly what they're hypocrites for. And it blows my mind. I get it. You're trying to fight the Ottoman Empire. So you need every ounce of gold you can get to fight these people who are sieging your lands. But that is not an excuse to double down on their own practices when your version of God and your version of the prophet could not be night and day. They're night and day different. Jesus and Muhammad are the two furthest apart people on the political spectrum you could ever have. So then to beat Muhammad, I got to do what Muhammad does. Demented. That's why I have no stock in historical Jesus. They completely abandon him when he doesn't serve their purposes of pacifism. Sorry, that's a mouthful. Just so angry about that.
Now, if I may, so mine's going to be based on my current studies in the last 30 days or so, maybe a little longer now. But for conversation purposes, I still will concede that a Jesus exists for that dialogue. But my own personal conviction is going further and further towards mythicism. The more that I'm researching it, a lot of people say, concede it for the conversation. Absolutely, I agree. That's why I said that. But the more I'm reading on even the gods or the characters that existed much more previous than the story of Jesus was ever created, the more it's just continuing to fall apart for me. Where it's like, no, we already had a virgin birth. We already had a God that died on a cross. We already had all this shit, with all these other, gods or, whatever. So the more I'm studying and putting the time into it, it's highly likely that your homeboy Jesus may not have ever existed.
Yeah, I wouldn't even doubt that. Like, it's so many different story and fairy tales wrapped up into one person who was there at the right time and the right place. The way I kind of look at most of those things is, obviously the question was, is there historically a Jesus? But, the way I look at most of those historical events, whether they happen or not, the folklore itself is real. It doesn't matter if Jesus didn't exist. He existed because we propagate the fact that he did exist. I know that's not the question, but that's why Jesus is one, and all of those really weird figures. You have to, not that you have to, but you can't remove that from a conversation. Like, Jesus didn't even exist, we can't have it because he exists to people's minds. So, you're already screwed off the bat.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't really have a dog in that fight, as it were. But
if I could say it real quick, Steve, too, and because that was a very short point for you, but it shows that for those that and like if Pasta Mike was here, we could talk to him. Like for you or Pasta, or others that are the cradle atheists, or the ones that have never really held a true belief like that, it's really not an issue for you guys. It's like, we don't give a shit whether this guy existed or not. But for those that grew up being taught that this was the savior of the world, the savior of humanity, he sacrificed his life so that you could live. It is a big deal. It is a big deal to know how real or how accurate this story is. So I do appreciate that when you say that I don't have a dog in this fight. Cool. Like that's totally, that's okay. That's acceptable. But for the ones like, myself or Justin or others, no, we do care about the dog in the fight.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, you could even claim, or I could even accept the claim that Jesus existed and was able to perform all of those miracles. And you still cannot link that necessarily to God. It could have just been some guy who went through some crazy stuff and somehow resurrected, and we don't know where he went after that. You know what I mean? And he told this grandiose story about where he was going to be, but how can we verify it?
Yeah, right on.
Yep.
I mean, that's just skepticism. Surreal to Real has a question. You have a question for yourself. Will Justin finally tell the serial story involving his father? He refuses to talk about it on our show.
Yeah, I refuse to talk about it here too. It's preposterous. Anyways, it's just a cheap father who decided to buy. He buys you one bowl of cereal. It's like, do you like Captain Crunch? I'm like, yeah, Captain Crunch is okay. Then anyway, this motherfucker, he buys I mean, a metric ton. I got army surplus amount of Captain Crunch, and he decides to store it right next to the humidifier. So now it's moldy. And now you have a father who's like, why aren't you eating this cereal? It's just blue. That was my childhood. Then you have to believe in Jesus this entire time. It's fantastic.
How did the moldy captain make you feel?
It made me feel great that I had food in my stomach. No, of course not. It went with everything else in my life. You just have to throw it in the garbage. You pretend, yeah, it's great. And you're literally taking a ball and removing it one ball. But I'm telling you guys, it was a skid. Like, you're supposed to fly this on one of your amazing bombers and drop it off to the troops so that a whole platoon can eat this for 3 days. Not two little boys who don't even have milk in the fridge. Yeah.
Oh, just put some water on that damn shit.
Yeah, it'll make blue milk. It'll be Star Wars again. I like it.
Real quick, Steve. Justin, I have an announcement to make. Ladies and gentlemen, Just Jeff has arrived.
Just woke up from my nap. Sorry.
Was it a good nap, Jeff?
It was.
It a good
great nap.
Did you get your...
I think I'll start a late night show, which will be Late Night with Just Jeff.
Ooh, late night with the trolley face.
Yeah.
Who's got all of his beauty troll sleep.
And Jeff, you can't see Justin, but this is Justin. Justin, this is Jeff.
Nice to see you, Jeff.
You two are both recovering Catholics.
Yeah, it's great.
But go ahead. We'll stay focused on the Q&A, and then Jeff and Justin, I'll let you guys wrap for a second once Q&A is done.
Well, that sounds good. I actually haven't gotten any more questions. So
okay.
I have a question.
Sure.
Do you still go to mass with family sometimes?
No, my whole family's a joke. We only did it because we had to survive. And then as soon as they got divorced, it's like, no, God ain't real in the first place, son. And nobody, but you know the deal, Jeff. 10 minutes before they die, I believed this the whole time.
Yeah.
Like my father has never gone to church. He used to drop us off, go home, but yet he bought a mausoleum slot. He spent $50,000 of money he stole from me to put a crypt in a wall of a place he doesn't believe. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense.
There's a lot to unload there.
Oh, yeah. Don't worry, man. I have nothing but cartloads of anger. It's absolute nonsense.
But I do enjoy going like once a year because my parents will want me to go to like Christmas mass or something with them. And I always like going to those because it's just funny to watch it from an outside perspective.
See, I'm going to say this. As somebody who hasn't gone, I actually have the inkling to go again just to have the experience of like, it's like, it's like going to Chuck E. Cheese, but you have no age limit. And I'm like, you know what? I might as well go one more time into the ball pit. And
you can go get communion and be like, haha, they don't even know.
Yeah.
They don't even know.
Well, I'll put it in my hand this time and I won't eat it right away. And I will totally bring the jam. I just got to sneak that in and just smear it underneath the pew.
I can remember specifically one time when I was in Catholic church and they have a big piece of bread that they break on at the altar when they're doing the sacrament, and it splits it into like pizza shapes. And at the time I was a kid, I had braces. And so I went through the thing and they gave me that one, which was like kind of pizza shaped, and it got stuck in my thing. And I like pulled it out and I was like showing somebody else. I was like, what the hell is this? It's like all square shape. And somebody's like, how dare you pull that out? Like, that's the body of Christ.
Oh my
I got
God.
in like serious trouble for this.
Hey, real quick, Steve, any more questions? If you're muted, I can't hear you.
He said there's no more questions.
Yeah,
I said we're all good, and thanks for stopping by the Murdershed, where answers get questioned.
Sorry, man. I missed quite a bit of the show. I was asleep.
That's all good. Sleeping is
Oz
better
didn't tell
than
me the
being awake
schedule
all
this
the
week. He
time.
really messed up.
I was actually curious though. When you went to go get communion, were you the guy who got it in your hands, or did you make the priest put it in your mouth? Because
Hands. I found the mouth thing was kind of weird to me.
See, the mouth
never
thing I
really-
would do just to piss the guy off because it's the grossest thing you could do. Like have this
You
priest
lick his hand?
Yeah, well, yeah, fuck you. You're gonna put it in my mouth, you asshole. Yeah, that's the way I kind of viewed it. It's like, you know what? Do the extra work. I don't care if your hand has just been in 12 other people's mouths. You're gonna put it in mine.
What about the thing where they have the Jesus statue and everybody comes and kisses it?
I was lucky I didn't have one of those churches.
I think it's one of the feasts. I'm sure somebody that's more Catholic than I was remembers. But they have like this statue, like basically a crucifix, and everybody goes and kisses it. And I was like, I don't want to do that. Like, it's kind of gross. Everybody's been kissing the thing.
Peace be with you is the furthest I'll go. I'll shake your hand.
Handshake's okay.
Yeah, there's people who would do the hugging, and like, if you go to an Italian church, they do the kissing. I'm not into this. I don't like to kiss my grandma. I don't want to kiss like strangers.
Yeah, it's very weird.
I don't want to do the double cheek thing. Yeah, but I always found mass to be one of the most ridiculous things I ever had to go through. And as soon as they bust out the gospel, you're like, finally, we're 3/4 of the way through.
Yeah,
wrap this nonsense up.
Communion's like the 7th inning stretch, and that's where you can just leave.
Yeah, you're done. It's like, okay, we're gonna get peace be with you after this, and we're done. He's gonna wrap up the story, and it's just like, it's funny because they don't even go through the full Bible in the year. They only lap like a third of it because
I don't even think it's a third. I think it's like 0.3.
Yeah, they can't tell you all the stories. Like, are they ever gonna tell you Noah's flood? No, they're never gonna tell you that. They're gonna keep telling you, Jesus washed the feet of a poor person, and you should do it too. And then we all leave in our nice fancy cars and don't go close to a poor person for the rest of the day.
I do like the architecture of some of the churches though in the Northeast.
Oh yeah, they do great jobs. Like
the nice like gold inlaid art, like artisan art altars and pipe organs.
One of the freakiest things I've ever said. I use the word freaky because I was saying to the other gentleman that I'm a massive history buff. Like, that's my favorite thing. That's how I became an atheist, just by learning about nonsense. But what ended up happening was I ended up going to the Vatican, and when you're walking to the Vatican, you see all of the gold, and that was all taken from other people. From poor people all throughout Europe, and then when they came to the New World, how they ravaged Mexico and took everything back. And you're in a room of like thievery. Like it's like, I could not imagine why there were so many. How much I can't explain it. People need to look at pictures of how much gold is in one room, like golden walls. Like, we used to make fun of, who was it that had the golden toilet? That museum in the state.
Didn't El Chapo have a golden toilet?
Yeah, a golden toilet is better than a golden palace.
They're just making everything out of gold because they had too much of it. It was the cheapest building material they had.
Yeah, what are we going to build this out of wood? No, it's too expensive. We'll use gold.
Yeah, we got all this gold. We might as well, the pencils should be gold.
Yeah, it's such a weird thing because Catholicism, as compared to like the other branches, it's got this ridiculously historical legacy to it too. So a lot of the traditions just seem so out of date. Like, I was always mystified why every other denomination a priest can marry, but not a Catholic priest. And I never got a real explanation, like they're married to God. But like, I don't understand it. It seems like some medieval practice that they left.
Right.
Yeah. Like, for me, I always say, I said this on another podcast with my co-host, but I always thought that the reason that a priest never gets married is because, would you trust your wife in like 1305 to go speak to a guy who has sex with women? No, you'd want this guy to be a virgin, so he ain't gonna bang your wife. Then you don't have to fight the priest because he just banged your wife because he gave him some shitty marital advice. Like, I get why you would have a virgin priest in 1306, but
there's loopholes to getting. You can be a priest that was married.
And what happened? She had to be dead.
Sort of. And the priests that have kids.
Oh, tell me more.
So if you're not Catholic, like let's say you become Catholic after being married and your wife is gone and you have a kid, there are ways that you could go through the process to becoming a priest.
Oh, no one's gonna like that priest though. Not in 1306.
No.
No, get out of here. You're a ship man now. You got to go work on the ships. You're fucking useless to society. Yeah, I keep dropping the F-bomb because these people are just so frustrating. Yeah. I couldn't trust one of those priests. That's such a weird proposition, But yeah, there seems like so many leftover rules from when we had to walk around with like swords and shields. And it's like, I like how they're trying to update that religion now, but it's too little too late.
What about literal swords with the Knights of Columbus? With the hats?
Oh,
You know what I'm talking about?
Well, I'm Maltese, so we're descendants. Like part of our tradition is we're the descendants of the Knights of St. John, which are the Knights Hospitallers, Crusaders. And that tradition is slammed into all of us when we're little kids. Like, oh, we're gonna go look at. Like, I had an aunt that had a statue of a Crusader knight in her house. Like, I'm not a statue. Let me rephrase it: a suit of armor. And you're like, this is like obviously it's replica because she's cheap, but like she's cheap. But it had like the black with the white cross on it, and you're like, why would you have this to scare off other people? Like, I'm from Canada. Like, it's multicultural up the wazoo here. Okay, every neighbor around you will come from a different country. The neighbor to the left of me, I think, is Colombian, and the neighbor to the right of me right now is Guyanese. And
have you heard the conspiracy theory that the Knights Templar took the Ark of the Covenant from France, which is the last place it was, by boat to Nova Scotia?
Yeah, I've heard this nonsense. It was
buried in Nova Scotia.
Yeah, good luck to that. Like, my whole deal with the Knights Templar is I'm glad that they're all gone. Like, I don't believe in the Illuminati. Like, the Illuminati exists, and they're like a Catholic. Like, what's the real story here? The Knights Templar are murdered. They're gone. They're just rich people. Rich people will always exist. But the rich people from the 1800s aren't the rich people from 2020. Not even close. If you made your money off a railroad, guess what? You didn't see the plane coming.
Yeah.
Right? You didn't make your money anymore. Okay? Because there's no way that, the CP rail or like whatever rail companies in the States, everybody made money or went bust on that, and that's just one. Like the Rockefellers made their money off oil. How many of them are actually still in positions of power? Now we're almost 100 years off. Even if there's six or seven of them, one of them's only going to be smart. The other five are going to be stupid. That's why I don't believe. Like, I actually have friends that believe the Knight Templars are still around. Give me a break. Give me a break. Yeah. Some secret Catholic, but yet not Catholic organization that lives in the shadows. Yeah. How do they orchestrate your last president? Preposterous.
They do it by letters. They write letters.
Is that the deal? Oh yeah, we're gonna.
They just wax seals, handwritten letters. That's how they. Well, what about Did you hear that the Pope recently said that like you can't get into heaven if you don't take the vaccine?
Oh my God.
For COVID?
I don't even know why I said oh my God, but oh wow. That
makes me almost want to not get the vaccine. Just him saying that. It's like, why would you want me to get the vaccine? Something's up.
I live in Canada, so I have to do whatever the government tells me to do. So it's whatever, fine. If I've got to take it, I'll take it. Just leave me alone. Whatever.
Well, it's the opposite in America because it's like the government wants me to do that. Fuck that. I'm not wearing shoes. They say we gotta wear shoes. I'm not wearing shoes. No shoes.
That's it. Yeah, I love you guys. You guys are the best. It's like whatever is told. No, not doing it. Yeah. Not doing it. Oh, you want me to?
Not only are we not doing that, we're going to organize a group of people to protest doing that so that other people don't do it.
It's like I remember you guys had a drought in Texas, and then you just literally saw people turning on their hoses and watering their lawn just to tell them I can. Until there's no water coming out of this hose, I'm going to do whatever I want.
Yeah, it's fake. There's plenty of water.
Yeah, and here it's like we've had many of the reservoirs only at 75% capacity. We got to shut off the water. Everyone's grass is dead instantly. I don't care. We got to save water. Yeah, we're two different cuts. Yeah, but like I was explaining, we're a Catholic nation above you guys, and nobody ever wants to talk about that. That we like, because in for example, our public school we literally have a public school system and a Catholic school system, both funded publicly. And it's just it's ridiculous that there's still countries that exist like us in the world.
They do that here too, where private schools get grants and also other things. And recently with the COVID bill, so and I'm not going to know the figures off the top of my head, so these figures aren't accurate, but with the COVID bill for small businesses, something like 6,000 or 8,000 Catholic churches applied and got money from that bill that was supposed to help small businesses.
Yeah, I don't even know. See, and here's the weird thing for me, that as I've become more of a little bit more open-minded. So I've been an extreme anti-religious person, and then slowly I bled into, is it so bad? Really? Now, if you want to believe whatever you want to believe, keep it to yourself. But like in that instance, right? Like for me, I try my best to go to my jujitsu classes every Sunday. And my substitute for religion, let me go train in a dojo. I'm a fat person. I can't keep up with everybody, but I'm going to try my best. And I feel great afterwards. If somebody's getting some sort of mental relief by going to a church and you eliminated that and that's not going to come back, I'm like, I don't know what to think about that, because these people need that. There are so many people who are off kilter in this world. I'm not sure if removing it completely is the greatest thing.
You don't think they'll find something else, like a dojo that they can go to, or maybe they'll pick up a craft, or something else to fill that void?
As I've become more adult, you know what my personal feeling is? I think a lot of the problems in our society today, where people take things from 0 to 100, virtually, there's definitely the religious side of it, which we all can dump as in your country easily a red person, a Republican, right? But how many of those hardcore social justice warriors who get offended at a joke wave the flag of atheism because they have nothing better to do between, like, there's responsible people who can preoccupy their time with other things.
Correct.
Then there's other people who will find something to substitute community. See, my argument for religion is only based off if you have a community where you can talk to other human beings in face to face, because
they can't walk away.
Well, hear me out. I'm not saying religion's good. What I'm saying is community is good. Okay? And there's a slight difference. I find that a lot of my friends that are too hardcore to talk to now will wave the flag of atheism without actually having a real opinion on the matter, make fun of people who don't believe in a God, and then they spend all day and all night trying to find problems to solve. And my deal is with any of them, none of them have left their house in the last 7 days except to go to work. If people do not, I think, look, I'm not saying a religion is your best substitute. You're believing in magic is not the solution to any problem. However, a lot of those people don't get in your face. You want to go to an evangelical church on a Sunday and it gives you some sort of, outline for your week. Those people don't bother me. If you want to start preaching your nonsense, now we're in a different world, right? But how many people do you know that actually go to a community center or something on a regular basis? I just don't know.
A chess club.
Oh, you have a chess club?
No, I'm sure there is one. I don't
That's
play
what
chess.
I'm saying. I don't know anybody who does anything community based anymore. That's just a 2020 problem.
What about? Well, I mean, I definitely have people here that do sports.
Oh, nice.
So there's that.
There we go.
But COVID kind of fucked that up.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, my only deal is it's just like it's a weird one. It's that weird kind of gray zone between, what are you doing in your free time? And I don't think it's the end of the world if you want to believe in magic. Just don't preach it.
Right.
So I don't know if it's right to keep those things open or not. Or
and Catholicism is kind of one of those too that just kind of like my parents, for example. My parents are Catholic. My grandparents were Catholic. My grandparents from one side are from Czechoslovakia. My grandparents from the other are from Belgium. They were both Catholic when they lived there. Those countries are at the time were majority Catholic. I don't know if they are today, but it was a culture thing. It wasn't as much a religion as it was a culture thing. The church was just part of the culture. So if you were to ask my parents a question about the Bible, they probably couldn't answer very basic questions about the Bible, yet they call themselves Catholic.
Yeah, and that leads to what I believe is it's a community-based event.
Right. It had very little to do with Jesus.
That's right. And that's why that's why I have such an ethical problem now in the modern age. It's like, well, let's not completely destroy everything that's left in that realm because there's some really desperate people who need some sort of foundation to keep going, And I'm finding that I can talk to 10 people and only one or two of them have an organized sporting event they do where they meet other people outside of the house. Like, I can name almost all of my main friends. None of them do anything with any other human beings. They go home, see their wife and their kid, they go to work, and then they're just sitting on the internet every other gap, and that's not human interaction. So
What's up, gentlemen?
I missed a button on my shirt. I just noticed.
Oh, it's okay. You're missing a couple things, but
Yeah.
I'm complimenting you. It's nice.
But Justin, thank you for coming on and hanging out with us at the Atheist Round Table. And for those that I saw a few people had just jumped on, some new viewers. Justin is co-host the Surreal to Real podcast, and all of the links and everything that you're going to need are in the description. They run a great show. I was on with them about 2 months ago, something like that. We had a great time, great conversation, and they're great guys. And because I think I saw one or two things in the chat. The reason Justin is just showing an icon of the podcast is where he lives. Some of the content could cause him his job, could cause some backlash. So I was not going to say, no, you're not coming on because you're not showing face, because we actually want to normalize this conversation. So I want to respect, as a channel, we want to respect his privacy, but also give he and James, his partner, his podcast partner, platform to be able to say what they want to say, and there not be any, pushback or anything like that. So, Justin, before we wrap up, anything else you want to say?
Well, I definitely appreciate being on. Thank you guys so much. And yeah, check us out, iTunes, Spotify. Those are usually the best places to find us. And we just want to have a blast. And again, thank you very much for having me on, guys.
Not a problem, man. We loved having you. And guys, remember this weekend we have two shows, Friday and Saturday. Friday, I am pumped for Biff Saunders to come on. And Jeff, I can't wait for you to talk to Mr. Saunders.
What could be? I mean, what do you think is going to happen? Is it just the unknown that you are?
Yes, it's the unknown, because he is again a self-proclaimed prophet and faith healer.
So am I.
What were you going to say, Justin?
Oh, that's amazing. He can heal people. Nice.
Yeah.
I have plenty of problems that I need healed. So.
And that's why I can't wait between I know some of the stuff that you've talked about before, but just your trolly ways. I'm excited for.
I'm going to genuinely seek truth and answers from him. No trolling involved. There'll be no trolling.
Okay. 0. Everybody see everybody winking right now?
I'm winking so much.
Like I thought it was going to seizure. I was winking so much.
Does this guy need the internet to get his work done? Is that how that works? So I love all these prophets that have cell phones.
Yeah, exactly. So that one, Friday night will be fun. Then Saturday, Greg actually called and talked to, I think, Jeff, it was you and I, to one of our call-in shows. Mm-hmm. And now we're going to have a full hour and a half to really dig into his belief and go down the SC trail, so to speak. So Ben G will be jumping on with us on that one as well. So that one will be fun. But Justin, again, thank you very much. And for those in the comments, we appreciate it. Appreciate all the love, and we will see you guys Friday night.